Hi ladies, welcome back. So today we're talking to the wonderful Rebecca Hawkes. So I'm going to pass you straight over to Rebecca and she can introduce herself and tell you all about her, where you can find her and where she is, what she does, and just a bit of an intro. So hi Rebecca, thank you for joining me.
Hello, thank you for having me. Yes, I'm Rebecca Hawkes and I'm a confidence and mindset coach. And it's something that I've recently gotten into. So when I first started a business, like the reason I started a business was because me and my boyfriend were moving to Honduras so that he could train as a scuba instructor.
Oh, wow.
We've traveled quite a lot anyway, and it kind of got to the point where I think I was 26 at the time, and I was like, I don't really want to be doing bar work again, because however much I love bar work, if he's working all day as an instructor and I'm like working all night, we'd never see each other. So I was like, okay, right, this is the perfect time for me to start a business. And I was really into social media and it was something that I was really good at. So it just made sense for me to kind of do that as a business. For about 18 months, I was a freelance social media manager and consultant, which is such a mouthful now when I say it. It's not used to saying it out loud that much. I'm like, oh my God, that's so long. So I did that, for about 18 months. And then I just hit this point where I was like, okay, this is fine, but this isn't like what I'm passionate about. Okay. This isn't like, I want to be able to help people. And although I was kind of helping people with social media and promoting their brands, it wasn't kind of lighting me up. And it got to the point where I was just getting overwhelmed. And I was like, oh, you know, when you kind of get up and you dread the day, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like this is such like a thing that would have happened years ago when I was in my 9 to 5. Like, how can this be now that I've created this business for myself? At the end of last year, kind of the beginning of this year, I was like, no, I need to get into coaching, because coaching is something that I've wanted to do for years, because I'm so passionate about it. I've worked with my own coaches and I just love the way that you can help people. You can kind of take people that were in your position and move them up to where you are now. Like, that's how I see coaching. For years I was like, oh, you're too young, like nobody's going to want to work with you, you've not got a degree, you can't do any of this. And then like the beginning of this year I was like, do you know what, if I don't attempt to make it work, I'm never going to be happy in anything that I do. So I had another coach who helped kind of like help me get really clear on what I wanted to do, because I think that was the other thing. Like, I knew I wanted to be a coach, but I didn't, like, at first I wanted to help everyone, and I still want to help everyone, but quite often when it comes to trying to help everyone, you end up helping no one.
Nobody,
so your message isn't clear, you're not speaking to that particular person, and then you end up like not doing very well. So I got really clear on what I wanted to do, and confidence and mindset is something that I'm very passionate about, because for years, like, I never had any confidence when I was younger. I suffered from anxiety on and off for years, like panic attacks, to the point where at one stage, I think I was around 19, I was like, I nearly got fired from my job because I didn't realize at the time, I didn't really put it down to anxiety, but I was ill all the time. I was constantly anxious. I wouldn't like socialize with anyone because I was just scared of the world. And then it got to the point where my boss was like, look, if you have another afternoon off, we're going to have to let you go because this is ridiculous. You're off more than you are at work. And then I was like, oh God, like I should really, really start changing things. And then I hit a point where I was like, I kind of sat down and looked at my life. So my routine would be like, go to work, come home from work, sit like in front of the TV or in front of the laptop. And I used to read a lot of blogs, and I would look at these blogs and be like, oh my God, all these people are doing these amazing things. Like, it's not fair. Why can't I do that? And then I kind of took a step back. Like, even at the week, I was 19. I didn't go out partying. I didn't really socialize with anyone. And I just woke up one morning and was like, I can't do this. Like this, I can't live my life like this. What am I doing? It's a waste. And then I kind of started to make myself go out a bit more. So push myself out of my comfort zone. And it would be a case where I'd like get together with friends on a Friday evening and I'd go to the pub from like 7 till 8. And that 1 hour was like a massive achievement. And then I'd slowly start to build it up, and then it would be like 7 till 9, or I'd go out a bit later and it would be like 8 till 11, and they'd be like, oh, are you going to come to the club with us? And I'd be like, no. And then eventually it was like, okay, yeah, I'll come to the club for one drink. And then it kind of, that really like helped me.
So the baby steps, doing it bit by bit.
Yeah, just gradually. And I mean, it's hard because there'd be times where I'd be stood in that pub being like, oh my God, I can't be here. There's so many people. I can't breathe. What am I doing? Where's my escape route? Like I like to have an escape route to know where I can get in and out. And but the more I kind of did that, the more I would like push through and the better it would get. And then, we're going back really far, aren't we?
No, I love it. Carry on.
And then I kind of, on one of the nights out that I'd met this guy, and we ended up dating for a few months, and it was a massive like whirlwind. Like I fell madly in love, and then it ended like overnight. It just ended, and I obviously felt like my world was ending.
Yeah.
And was like, okay, I need to just not be in England anymore. I need to be as far away from here as possible. So I booked like a round the world trip. So like, I think I booked like 9 flights.
How brave was that off the back of where you just come from as well?
It was so insane. And I remember saying to like my family didn't really think that it was going to happen. My friends kind of just laughed and was like, okay, we'll see you again in a month. My colleagues at work just didn't believe it at all because I was still working at that same job that I'd nearly got fired from. So it was just, but in my head I was like, no, I can do this. This is going to be fine. It's going to be okay. And even like leading up, I was so I booked the flights in, I think it was July, and I wasn't leaving till the December, like 5 days before my 22nd birthday. And I was like, no, I don't want to be in the country for my birthday. So I want to travel. And I landed in Thailand on, I think it was like the 5th or the 6th of December. And the first night was awful. It was absolutely awful. I remember being in my dorm room and just crying and thinking, oh my God, what have I done? And then again, I was kind of in that situation where the following day, because I think the first night I kind of just went on the internet and was like talking to people from home. And then the next day I was like, right, you have to make this decision. You can enjoy your time here. Yep. You can make yourself go and say hello to someone, or you can spend your whole time sat in front of the computer when, what's the point in doing that? So again, I kind of like forced myself into this big group of people that were sat there and was just like, oh, hi. But from there, it was just, I don't know, it was just such an incredible thing. And I would say that like traveling changed my life.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Complete kind of U-turn.
Yeah.
Where did you come from?
Absolutely. It completely changed who I was. And that's where I met my current boyfriend in Thailand. So I'd booked these 9 flights and only ended up getting on one of them because I fell so much in love with Thailand. And then over those years, so the past, that's been 5-6 years that since then. And I've had different stages. Like when I came back to the UK, I was back in the UK for about 18 months before we did this trip. And the anxiety started to creep back in. And I think because you get so settled in a routine when you're at home, I wasn't doing anything to push myself. And I think that's when the anxiety crept in a bit more for me. And then when we went to Honduras and I started the first business, again, the anxiety came back because all of a sudden I was in this place where I'd never been before. I'd never started a business. I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, even though the results I was getting were really good. And then I was just like, that the imposter syndrome where I'm not good enough, people are going to think I'm a fraud, like I can't sign anyone. And I'd kind of done like a reverse U-turn where I was back to being anxious all the time. And then last year I hit this other wall where I was like, okay, well, I need to, I'm going back to where I was. This isn't good. So I kind of looked into ways to motivate myself as an entrepreneur. And that's when I kind of found out about mindset work. And I'd read about it and I'd watch a few videos, but didn't really implement it until kind of the end of last year. I started like networking in Facebook groups and seeing what other people were doing. And then I did like an affirmations challenge and a journaling challenge and found them quite helpful, but I didn't really stick to it. Until I hired the coach in February to help me start this business. And she was like, right, well, the main thing, because obviously when you start a business, you think the most important thing to do is work out what you're going to sell, set up your website, who your audience are going to be. But in actual fact, what she said to me is like, no, we're going to work on your mindset. And I was like, oh, but that's not going to build me a business.
Yeah.
But over the weeks where I started to do like a morning routine, and I started to make the effort to journal, to do affirmations, to write gratitude lists, to, what else do I do? Like visualization. Yeah. I'd read a lot into mindset and the law of attraction, and all my spare minutes, or I'd like multitask. So I'd listen to podcasts and have YouTube videos on whilst I was eating my breakfast. But before, I quite like watching vlogs on YouTube. But then after like I started on the mindset work, I'd kind of change and I'd look more into mindset work and positive videos. And that kind of, you don't really notice it that much until you look back and you're like, oh my God, I'm so much more confident now than I was 2 weeks ago or a month ago. And it's such gradual changes, but they have such a big impact.
They do, yeah. And you don't always see them, like you said, you don't notice necessarily at the time.
Absolutely not. And it's just so amazing because although you haven't put in like strategies for your business, I mean, obviously I've got like a framework for my business and I know where it's going, but if it wasn't for the mindset that I have, I wouldn't be able to do any of that because I wouldn't believe that it was possible.
Exactly. And you'd hold yourself back.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so fantastic. And now one of the things that I obviously want to help other women do, or men as well, like I think men have got a massive issue with anxiety, and it would be wonderful to help them as well. But I kind of want to help other people with their mindset and say to them, like, it might seem like a chore, but 15 minutes a day, that's not a lot. I mean, I obviously do quite a bit more than that. I tend to do an hour to 2 hours. But people that haven't got a lot of time, even those 15 minutes can have such a big impact on your life. And your anxiety levels, stress levels. It's better for your overall well-being. And then when it comes to obviously running a business, it's so powerful because the more you believe in yourself and the more you say to yourself, this is going to happen for me, the more likely it does.
Definitely. I completely agree. I'm a bit like you in as much as a couple of years ago, and I've had quite a few businesses, but this last kind of stretch, if you like, with various businesses, I've been self-employed for 11 years. And even 2 years ago, when I sold my last business, the idea of kind of working on my mindset or working on myself or any self-development, I was just like not interested, too far out there for me. I'm far too practical, just got too much to do. I spent a lot of time working in the business and never on the business, and also looking back, never on myself. It was just, I was still running it as it had started, very much kind of a one-man or one-woman band. And I just never grew. So the business was up here growing and I was still down here trying to run it in that kind of style. It took me until after I sold really to kind of realize that. And then I started getting into self-development, read a couple of books by Gabby Bernstein and Denise Duffield Thomas, I think, were one of my first. Loved Denise Duffield Thomas's style because I find it very relatable, and it's written in a way that we can all just kind of read easily, whereas some of the books can be a bit harder obviously to digest. But I'm exactly the same as you now, and just kind of started swapping certain things that I was doing in a day for more everything surrounded by positivity, and very much into my morning routine, you know, without fail, meditate daily, visualize, affirmations, gratitudes, and like you said, I quite often have stuff in the background playing or subliminal kind of videos, and I just try and feed myself with as much positivity as possible. But I've just come up with an idea as well whilst we're on. So I'm launching at the minute. I haven't really kind of massively launched or announced it to too many people, but I've had something in my head for a couple of years, which is a membership and a subscription box all in one. And it's all about positivity. It's called Perfectly Positive. And it's kind of the membership site. So there's digital side to it. And then the box of things coming through the post every month. So it's a crystal with the meaning card behind it, because a lot of people like the idea of crystals, don't really know enough about them or what you can get from them. There's an affirmation card, a positive print, and they're every month. And then on top of that, 1 or 2 extra items like a journal or a candle or something self-care, sage stick, something along those lines. It's a little bit woo-woo, but it's still practical items. And then every month on top of that, there'd be a digital product like a workbook, guided visualization, affirmations, a guided meditation or something like that, and we're going to have a guest speaker every month, so I'd love you to come and join me. That's why it's popped into my head, because it's all about confidence and positivity and mindset. So anything like that, I just can't get enough of, and I really want to share it with as many people as possible. And initially the box idea was all about kind of female entrepreneurs, but then realized it doesn't have to be. So it is female based. Not to say only females can buy it, but that's obviously my target audience. And yeah, just anything kind of positive. We're going to have a book review every month as well, where members are going to be invited to come in and speak about their thoughts about it and their reviews, because I've read so many self-development books. It's nice to get other people's opinion on what they found. So we're going to be doing a bit of that. So it's going to be a bit of a mixture of, like I said, the membership and the box. So you're going to get the two in one. But yeah, I'd love you to come and have a little chat and be one of the speakers one month about confidence and mindset. And because you've been there as well, it's so personal to you. Because you've obviously got a toolbox now of things that you go and use and grab a tool to help you pick yourself up when you're having a bit of a down day. So yeah, it'd be lovely to have you come and share as well.
Oh, that would be lovely. Thank you. I think that's such an incredible idea to have like the combination of both. I think that's amazing.
I've been toying with it so long.
Yeah. No, I think I think it's fantastic. And I think as well with things like crystals, because they're something that I'm quite interested in, but I don't have a clue where to start. I don't know what you're supposed to do with them.
And I'm not an expert, and I'm not proclaiming to be, but it's something that really interests me. And I think that again, that's a sort of people like you and I that find it interesting but don't know a great deal about it. And I've got a few, and I know the meaning of a couple, but you know, maybe 5 or 6, and that's where I stop. So I would love to learn as that. So I just thought it's a knowledge, but it's also a very pretty item to have around. And if it's got other benefits, then fantastic. So you'll have to give me a hand with that.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Yeah, I'll let you know when it's all kind of up and running, but certainly over the next few months, I'm hoping to get the first one at the end of July. So yeah, sorry, I went off on a massive tangent because as you were speaking, I was like, oh my God, I need Rebecca to come and be one of our speakers for us. So what are your kind of favourite go-to tools to pick yourself up now if you have kind of a wobble or you have a day where you're second guessing yourself? Is it just literally doing your daily work, or is there something you go to extra?
I think my favourite thing to do to boost my confidence, if I've had a bit of a knock confidence-wise, or if I just need a bit of a boost, is writing empowerment lists. Okay. And I don't know whether anyone else calls them empowerment lists, but it's essentially writing a list. So for me, it would be something like 30 reasons I know I'm going to be successful. Yeah. Or 20 reasons my dream clients are on their way to me, or something like that. So something really empowering that I can look at the list, and you kind of have to think about it. Yeah. And especially if you are having an off day, it is a bit more difficult. Yes. But you can think of those things. And when you have those things in your mind and then you have them on paper, it really just does boost you, because you see it and you're like, oh my God, yeah, I can. Like, I am going to be successful. I am going to sign clients. Like, all these good things are going to happen to me. So that's my favorite, like, confidence boost. If I'm having a day where I'm kind of losing energy or I feel a bit overwhelmed, because sometimes I'll write myself a to-do list and I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, it kind of makes me a bit like, oh, I can't do this. Yeah. So then I will meditate. I will like close the laptop and I will just go and meditate for 15 minutes. Or sometimes if I'm really tired, there's a few on YouTube, free meditations, but they're like 30-minute naps. Yeah. So you kind of just go to sleep for 30 minutes, and it's so weird because you've obviously got the noise in the background, and then the little symbols go off and you wake up and you feel so refreshed. And I think it is really important to listen to your body. Yes, I do. If you're sat in front of the laptop and you don't know what to say, or you're struggling to do work, don't do it. Like, take the afternoon off, take a couple of hours off, go for a walk. Like, I think the more you try and force things, the harder everything becomes. And then that's when the imposter's more likely to show up, because then you think to yourself, oh, I'm no good at this. I can't do it. Why am I not producing anything good? And in actual fact, what you need to do in those situations is just go and have fun or go and rest. Yeah.
Because the procrastination starts then as well. You actually get nothing achieved anyway. Yeah. And then that makes it worse, because then you look at you, I've done nothing, you know, and I've actually been sat at the desk, whereas at least if you've gone and taken time, you think, well, do you know what? I have achieved something. I've gone and done something for myself. So
absolutely.
Yeah, great. So what, obviously you work completely remotely. What kind of tools or systems are your kind of go-to that you literally couldn't live without when you're working from wherever, whether you're back in the UK or whether you're back in your other home? what could you not live without?
Google Calendar, because it just organises my life. And so often, especially now where I have like client calls and discovery calls and then like interviews like this or like chats like this, and then I like to try and block out work that I need to do. So sometimes I stick to it, sometimes I go through phases where I ignore it, and I tend to kind of work on what I feel like working on at the time, rather than being really strict with myself. But then I'll use it for things like I'm about to start doing Voxer coaching. So like coaching via a voice note app and things like that. I'll have blocks set out in my Google Calendar so that I know when to send, because people are all on different time zones. But I want to make sure they get their voice notes first thing in the morning so that when they wake up, they've got. So for me, I'm doing like a daily journal prompt, a daily affirmation and daily empowerment list for them to write. So I want to make sure they have that first thing in. Yeah, because then they can kind of start their day off like on a good, like a positive way. So things like Google Calendar for that is fantastic, because then I get the little reminder and I'm like, okay, well, I'll do the voice note now. What else do I use? Things like Buffer. To schedule things. So I've mapped out my Instagram posts, but I don't write the caption until the day. Because I used to pre-write my captions, but then I found that I was just kind of struggling and it felt a bit forced. Whereas now I will just write whatever's in my head. But I kind of put all the images into Buffer so that they're all at the right time, and so that I get that reminder to post the actual image. What else do I use? Voxer, because for clients. I think they're probably the main. I mean, things like Dropbox, Google Drive, have to have those. Trello sometimes. Trello is good for like organising posts to networking groups, because quite often I'll feel inspired to write a post about something, but then I don't like going and putting them in every group that I'm a part of. So I kind of store them in Trello. And especially if it's something that's really useful for someone, I want to make sure that other people can kind of see that at the same time, or get to see it. I mean, so I will spread them about a bit. I think they're probably
awesome, fantastic. So in the mornings when you wake up, how do you start your day? What actually is your whole routine?
It kind of, some days it varies. But the routine that I've got in the most at the moment, so I'll get up in the morning. I'll come down and I'll kind of make breakfast. Well, it depends. If I'm hungry, I'll make breakfast. If not, I'll just make a cup of tea. And if I'm just having a cup of tea, I'll read a book for like a chapter or two. And then I'll make breakfast and I'll watch a YouTube video. So I watched, I can't remember the lady's name. You did an interview with someone. I think it was the most recent one that you put up on YouTube. Like I watched that last week whilst I was having breakfast.
I can't think who it was. It's Heather last week, and this week was, because I do them and then they kind of say later on. I forget the actual one that's live. Oh, Carrie was live this week. The lady that lived
I think it was Carrie
in Sri Lanka.
Yes, it was Carrie.
And so forth.
Yes. So I watched that last week, and then Erin May Henry, she's a really good one that I like to watch, because her videos are always quite uplifting and they're always
I haven't come across her. I'll have to make a note.
She's really good. So I'll kind of watch something like that whilst I'm eating my breakfast, and then once I've finished eating, I will get my journal out and I will either journal what's going on in my head that day, or I will find a prompt and kind of just answer a question, or I'll do like an empowerment list, and I like to do gratitude lists as well. And then then I'll go up and get ready, like I'll have a shower, get dressed. But whilst I'm doing that, I'll either have a podcast on, or in my head, I'll be repeating affirmations. So I'm kind of, by the time I sit down to work, I feel positive and I feel in a good mood. And I'm kind of just ready to start.
I think it's becoming it becomes a habit, doesn't it? You consciously have to do it in the first instance. I'm walking, like Mike, for instance, I'll quite often listen to affirmations or just repeat out loud to myself. So I'm walking to the school run when the kids aren't with me, because they think I'm Delali, and I do get some funny looks if I'm saying anything out loud. But it's being aware that we have all got moments in our day we can utilize to kind of you know, make ourselves believe that we are capable, and, you know, feeding our subconscious mind this positivity constantly. So it's aware of what moments we can use to utilize, I think, as well, to be more positive. But yeah, I'm pretty similar to you. I don't think I do as long in the mornings, but yeah, I do meditation and visualization, affirmations, gratitude list. I love to read as well, so there's normally reading somewhere during the day, not necessarily in the morning, but squeezed in somewhere along the line. And like you said, it makes a huge difference. And I think a lot of people you speak to don't necessarily go in 100%, probably like you didn't at the beginning, and I know I didn't at the beginning. Used to read the stuff and not implement it. But take it from us, if you don't do anything, it does make a massive
difference. Such a big impact.
Yeah,
and even things like, so in the evenings now, I'll put on a meditation to go to sleep to.
Yeah, I do.
So, I love it. It's either like a guided journey, or it'll be a guided meditation. Or last night I was listening to, it's a Bob Proctor video on YouTube, and it's a money affirmation. So, and it's just the same affirmation repeated and repeated, but you don't have to do anything apart from go to sleep, and then it feeds your subconscious. So it's not difficult.
I love falling asleep to listen to them as well. And then I quite often wake up at 2:00 in the morning when, you know, because quite often they go on to other videos and things. And I wake up at 2:00 and it's like white noise or something, or they've all just, there's no loop. The loop is kind of continuing video. But I just think, why not? You know, you're only giving yourself more positivity, so why not try it? Yeah, definitely. So what would be your advice, words of wisdom to give to somebody who is just starting out in business or about to take that big leap?
I would say, obviously, focus on your mindset. Make sure you make that part of your daily life, like set it as a task within your business. That's kind of how it helped me in the beginning, because I would set it as, this is what I need to do in the mornings, like this is my first task of the day, or my last task in the evening. Really focus on mindset work, and don't give up. Like, there'll be stages where you'll feel like you're not good enough, you'll feel like you don't know what you're doing, but you really, really do. You just have to kind of push past that and kind of tell yourself that you know what you're doing. So if you're having an off day and you're like, oh, I really don't know what I'm doing, use the affirmation. I'm completely confident in everything that I do. Just repeat that to yourself over and over again, and listen to your body. So if your intuition is saying to you, I need to go and sleep, or I need a day off, or I need to go and have some fun, go and do that. Like, you don't have to be, when you're starting a business, or when you're a business owner, you don't have to be working 20 hours a day just to be successful. You can work 4 hours a day and achieve the same amount of success, but be happy in everything that you're doing. And I think that's really important, focusing on happiness within your business. I think
that is, to me, that's the epitome of successful. And I've come to evolve into that thinking as I've got older, that it's not about the kind of necessarily the financial status that you achieve. It's actually about living a life that you're absolutely in love with, you know, and really that makes you happy. And the more I realise that, the more I think comes my way anyway, because and when I list down actually what I love about my life and certain things that I always achieved, set out to achieve, that I have done, even for me as a mum, things like taking the children to school, picking them up, you know, having all weekends off. And actually that's quite a luxurious position to be able to do certain things like that. So I've written a lot lately about you know, what success is to you. And I think we see in our industry, we do see so many posts from coaches and so forth that are very, very focused on reaching kind of 7 figures a year or 6 figures a year. And actually it's not just about that. And if that's your thing, that's fine. But it's actually what makes you feel successful, and makes you feel happy. And once you've achieved that happiness, or you are happy, then actually that is success. So I completely agree. It's been fantastic to speak to you.
It's been so lovely.
Give us some. I'll add the links in as well, obviously, when this goes on the website. But will you just tell us where we can find you?
Yep, I have a website, so it's RebeccaLucyH.com. I've got a couple of freebies on there as well.
Awesome.
I've got like a Facebook group about tackling imposter syndrome, and I've got a freebie for social media managers to start charging their worth. That's like a 30-minute video training. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, like all the main ones. Instagram and Facebook are the main ones that I use, and that's at RebeccaLucyH.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I should add the links in as well, but thank you very much for joining me, and have a lovely day.
You
Take
too.
care. See you soon.
You.
Bye.
Bye.